Yuka, good to have you with us. You're starting with EU. It's proposing plans to roll back its signature data protection rules.
Well, Sharon, Brussels says that it's cutting red tape to boost innovation and competitiveness by easing the bloc's strict data protection rules and delaying central parts of its AI law. Critics say the EU caved to the pressure from big tech to give them easier access to personal data. Caroline Baum has the details.
The EU is under fire as it looks to roll back its signature data protection rules. But Brussels says cutting red tape is necessary to promote European tech. On Wednesday, the European Commission put forward a package of bills called the Digital Omnibus that would lower barriers for AI training.
Europe has not so far reaped the full benefits of the digital revolution, and we cannot afford to pay the price for failing to keep up with demands of the changing world.
The package is specifically proposing to delay stricter AI rules in high-risk areas until December 2027, provide easier access to personal user data for companies, and target what the authors of the law have deemed unnecessary cookie banners on EU websites. Critics see the move as a capitulation to big tech and US President Donald Trump, who has pressured the EU to loosen tech restrictions. They say that these measures are being pushed at the expense of European privacy protections, with digital rights group NOYB saying the proposal undermines a clear EU stance against commercial surveillance.
So the rules that are potentially going to be reopened with the Digital Omnibus are rules that are designed to keep all of us safe. They're to stop the photos of your children being used to train huge AI models. They're to stop the messages that you're sending to your friends, to your family, also being used for the same purpose.
Facing staunch opposition, the proposals are still far from being finalized. They will need to be approved by EU countries and the European Parliament before being put into place.
Meanwhile, Spain says it's going to be investigating Facebook owner Meta for possible privacy violations, Yuka.
The Spanish Parliament is launching a probe into Meta following recent findings that the tech giant was spying on users. In June, researchers detailed how apps like Facebook and Instagram installed on Android phones had covertly tracked users' web activity by exploiting a technical loophole, even when they were using a private browsing mode or a VPN. The revelation came after Meta already faced a €1.2 billion EU fine for unauthorized data transfers to the United States and other fines related to its market practices. The company says it will work with Spanish authorities on the issue. Here's the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez speaking earlier.
In Spain, the law is above any algorithm or any large technology platform. And anyone who violates our rights will pay the consequences, because this cannot go unpunished.
And Yuka, in the US, some big tech and other leaders have been gathering around the Saudi crown prince for an investment forum.
Well, according to the US President Donald Trump, some $270 billion worth of business deals were signed at the event. A host of tech and business leaders, including Tesla chief Elon Musk, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang, but also leaders of Chevron, Qualcomm and Pfizer, attended the event a day after the US government rolled out the red carpet for the Saudi crown prince. The business forum comes after bin Salman announced Saudi Arabia would increase its investment pledge to the United States to $1 trillion, up from the current $600 billion. In return, Washington said it would sell F-35s to Saudi Arabia. If this happens, it would be the only Middle Eastern country other than Israel to have the fighter jets.
In other business news, Yuka, the Dutch government has relinquished control of the Chinese-owned chipmaker Nexperia.
But the move has been welcomed by Beijing as a step in the right direction. It comes 7 weeks after the Dutch government took an extraordinary step to take control of the company, citing national security concerns. Now, Nexperia is based in the Netherlands, but owned by a state-backed firm in China. It's a major supplier of computer chips to European car makers and other industries. And when Beijing retaliated by halting shipments of computer chips that had been sent from Europe to be completed back to the continent, it sparked fears of a supply crunch. Progress has been made in their talks since then. Here's the Dutch economy minister speaking earlier today.
Dat de Europese industrie natuurlijk die chips nodig
The
heeft.
European industry needs chips, of course. There are positive signs that these chips are reaching Europe again. But we are not there yet in terms of a permanent solution. And in these discussions, a gesture is also necessary because the Chinese have done so. So we're continuing to work in a constructive dialogue with the Chinese authorities, but this was necessary to do.
Om te doen.
A quick check on the markets.
Well, a sharp stock sell-off that started late last week has eased slightly, although global stocks still mostly traded in negative territory on Wednesday. Wall Street's main indexes, though, managed to close in positive territory as investors awaited Nvidia's announcement of its latest quarterly results after the closing bell. And that's it from the business desk.
Thanks so much for that, Yuka.